everyone, and welcome back to the Beginners Competitors Corner podcast. Today, I have two special guests, and I'm very excited. I've been wanting to talk to them for a long time. Let me introduce you who we have here. So today, I have Kristen Harrison. She's the founder of the WCBB, which is the Women Community of Bodybuilding. She holds a pro bodybuilding title, and she practices as a registered psychotherapist in Ontario at Focus Forward Therapy Group. Her experience and her drive for women in sport led her to the creations of the Women's Community of Bodybuilding. Welcome, Christine. And we also have Geneviève, a return. We know her from our podcast from last time where she competed in the WCBB in the transformation. So they want to come in here and talk to you a little bit more about their organizations and what it's all about. So welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So when I heard about your federation, because the type of audience that we have is a lot of new beginners or people who are thinking about competing, and one of the show that did really well was the transformation of Geneviève that she shared with us her story. And I wanted to know, in terms of federation, like, what made you want to do your own federation? What was missing in the current federation that we have right now?
That's a really great question. And I've been asked the same question many times. So CBC did a large interview on us when we started up, and this was part of the questions that they went down. And, it came about thinking about my own experiences competing. And like in any kind of organized sport, there's pros and cons. And I kept thinking, the show day wasn't ideal. And I really missed that I couldn't connect with women ahead of time. I would meet sort of people on social media, then you'd kind of connect on show day, but everybody's in their own space, right? They're doing their own thing. And I thought, wouldn't it be really cool if there was something that actually connected women, formed a community of women that was related to the events? There was also some other points that came up. One was the length of the shows and kind of the order that the shows run, and that, women are at the end, particularly in the categories that I compete in. I'm at the very end of the show. It makes for a very long day. Sometimes some of the judging, in my opinion, just took into account things that had really nothing to do with your athletic ability. Mm-hmm. And I sort of thought, wouldn't it be really cool if there was something else out there, something that if my own girl said, I want to compete, that I would be like, yes, let's do this. This is really cool. This is a great goal. Because sometimes competing feels as though maybe it's not accessible for women as entry-level competitors. Right. And I remember my first show. I remember being blown away at the level of athletes that were present. And I thought, I'd love to see like an entry-level show for first timers who are setting goals. Maybe they don't want to go on to, become a competitor, but this is a bucket list, or they really want to connect with other women. And so I did some research. I looked through and I thought, wow, there's no women's only like official sort of bodybuilding in Canada. So we have some women's only, but they're a little bit more, like pageantry. There isn't like a classic sort of bodybuilding show. And I thought, I can do this. Why don't I do this? I have a corporation. I can do this. And, it was COVID, so maybe I had a bit more time on my hands. And that's literally how the idea took off. And I just started plugging away at it.
That's amazing. Right now you are in your third year?
This is we started in 2020. Mm-hmm.
In third year. And then you talked about something that I want us to pause. And you talked about like the women that join your organization versus the other federation. You talked about women who embark in their fitness journey, who don't necessarily want to compete in, it's not the same that they don't want to be a pro. Maybe a pro is not in the cards for them, but yet they achieve like a weight loss. They have a transformation. And then Geneviève went through that experience, and now you are in the board of directors, Geneviève. So tell me how was your experience with the federation? What did you do? Like, we want to know, how does it look like?
How does it look? Yeah, that's a great question. And it's just kind of fell into place, this passion. I've always been into fitness, and it was on my bucket list. Like Christine says, it can be on, people's bucket list, just to be able to be noticed, like, not to people to recognize, your accomplishments. And even if it's just like a one-off or whatever it is. And so for me, it gave me a taste. So that's where I was going with. I wanted to compete. I wanted to see how I could push myself to the limit, physically, emotionally, mentally, and just compete one time. I wasn't sure if I was going to like it or not. I was on the fence, and I stumbled upon this federation, and it was perfect. It was perfect. It ticked off all the boxes that resonated with me, and with that, I fell in love with it. So, like Christine said, it may not be for everyone. It may just be a one-off, but it gave me that taste, and at least I got that opportunity to go on stage and just show everyone that, hey, like I lost all this weight. I feel really, really amazing in this body. I just want to show it off, show everybody how I transformed myself. That's for me, the accomplishment, and it was even for myself. It was really for myself, how I could achieve this goal that I wanted to attain before I turned 40. So this year is the big milestone is turning 40, and I was able to do it. So, for a lot of women out there thinking that they can't do it because, it's too late or they're too old or whatever, let me tell you, you are not. It's prime time. 40 is the new 30, right? Or the new 25.
It's true.
And
It's true.
yeah, and then just I had competed a couple of times after that, and this opportunity came up, and I just had this major I grew this passion for it. And because as my career is I'm an event coordinator, and I just wanted to put two loves together, fitness and coordinating events. And what a perfect marriage. Like, you can't get any better than that. And I didn't want to do it as necessarily like a living. I love working out and everything that pertains to that, but I wanted to just marry those two and see, this is another opportunity for me as well to see if this like really works for me and if I really like it. So yeah, that's
I think that's awesome that once you complete like a competition, whatever transformation, and then for you to give back to that community and to see it transform your life. And also, so I think that's awesome. And I have a question in terms of your women's group, right? Because you talked about women's community. Like, how do you follow like throughout? Like, let's say like we registered. What my understanding is that you offer your posing sessions to the group of women. Do you have some events with networking before like the stage? Like, what's that process look like?
And it's different every time, depending. So we have done group workouts. We've done meetups, social events. It also encourages women to connect, even on social media, in that safe space. Because I can tell you, first-time competitors don't always feel comfortable reaching out to, more advanced competitors. The other thing I just want to point out is that, Genevieve's role on the board of directors and the other two that sit on as well are volunteers, right? We're all volunteers. And I think that the big difference is that there's a sense of community because everybody that's there wants to be there. They're volunteering their time away from their family. And so that built-in network comes through the model itself as the nonprofit, which we are, which is very different from other organizations, right?
I love that you offer that support, that community, and that you guys are a nonprofit organization. So basically, you're doing this for the athletes, right? And how do you athlete? Is it like any size? Do we have to be like? Is it similar? Like, is it the divisions like figure,
Yeah.
bikini, wellness, or
Yeah.
is it different?
It's very similar, but I felt really strongly that the names needed to be changed. Myself as a bikini athlete, I've always been embarrassed to say bikini. How does that in any way identify myself as an athlete? Right.
Right.
And so I felt it was really demeaning. And I decided to just change the names. And I thought, I can do whatever I want. I made this. I can do whatever I want. So I changed it to builder athlete, which I thought kind of insinuated this is where you're starting, you're building and moving up, which is very common in
Right.
bodybuilding. And then I took the names of Greek goddesses and applied them to everything. So we have Athena and Artemis, Athena being figure, wellness, Artemis, and then we have physique. And we've had physique women compete, which is amazing. You
Oh,
know
you
how hard it
have.
is. Yeah.
Okay. So this is
Yeah,
like, and you also have a transformation category as well,
that's
right?
right. Yep. And transformation is called transformation, which is what Genevieve did. There is no ranking. There's no everybody places, everybody does amazing. They actually have more time on stage because they share their story. So we do a write up and
Mm.
their stories read, whatever they want to share. They do before and after pictures this year. So we've done medals and flowers, but this year we're doing crowns and medals.
Ooh, crowds and middle. And you know what? I really love what you just said about reading their story because in the other federation or normal competition, like everybody has a story, but nobody cares about it. Nobody knows what it took for you to get there.
Yeah.
And I think that's a shame, right? But I love that you highlight that because that's an integral part of your fitness journey.
Yeah. Yeah. And when women connect with other women who share their stories, we are stronger together. Right. And the idea of bringing women together to accomplish their goals is so powerful. And it's the catalyst for so many women, not just in their athleticism, but in their career. I've had so many women who started competing and who have said, like, this has been the benchmark for me going off. And I decided to go back to school, or I've gotten this
Mm.
job, or I feel more confident to do
Confidence.
this. Right? Because if you can get on stage like Genevieve and lose this weight and look amazing and do things that you never thought you could do, it's like a switch, right? And it's that behavioral activation, and all of a sudden you're your own motivation, which is such a lovely place to be.
And your own motivation, and also you are inspiring other people around you, right? Like your close group, because they're seeing you, wow, you did an amazing feat, and then just you doing it personally, you'll be surprised how much your light radiates to others and impacts. I think that's amazing. And you have a competition, like, so when's the next competition for, and how many are you doing per year, or just one, or
Well, every time the competition rolls around and you say, how many are you doing? I go, one. because because I want to just highlight how much work this is. It's so lovely having a board of directors now. They have been so helpful, but essentially this has been, it had been all me up until kind of show day where, Genevieve came and volunteered. And we have all kinds of women who come and volunteer. We sometimes have more volunteers than we have athletes, actually. um, but for right now, our show is planned for March 25th, 2023 in Coburg. And so if you ask me now, one show. But there is a possibility that there could be another, and it would be back in Ottawa. Um, the idea actually is that our shows are going to become a little bit smaller. And
smaller?
I think that I'm trying to move away. I'd like women's community bodybuilding to move away from being compared to other federations.
Yeah.
I've really noticed that comparison continues to come up, but we are nothing like them. They're wonderful and they hold a place. And I'm pleased that the other federations have taken notice of us and are aware that we're there, because everybody can work together. There's ample room for everybody, but we're not the same. We are not comparable. And so I really would like the Federation to take more of a grassroots community. I want family to be able to come and support for free, which we're able to do on this show. So there's no ticket sales. You
That's
know,
awesome.
it is, it's really lovely, but we are very different. And so although this show may be a little bit bigger, the idea is that we're actually going to bring it down to be a little bit more, even more accessible and less scary, I think, for first time competitors, because that is still a barrier that we struggle with. It's around competitors feeling confident in their goal setting and making a commitment to compete. That's, as a first time competitor, right? You've both been there. That, you probably think, oh, like, I don't know if I'll be ready, or picture an entire event of that. So there's a lot of planning that's happening without really knowing how many people are going to compete. Whereas I do find when you move towards, other federations, you've got some seasoned competitors. They know they're in it. They know that setting the goal actually helps them move forward, right?
Right. I love that. And I was gonna say, I'm losing my thought here, but in terms of vision, because you talked about maybe the Ottawa, what's the vision, like the impact you want to have with women's community bodybuilding?
Yeah. So the idea is that we give back to women, right? So Genevieve knows, because we do this work all the time on our board of director meeting. So we have given back, as in sponsoring athletes to compete at no cost, supporting them. We've supported them with a trainer to meet this goal. We've supported them with their tanning, their hair, their makeup, suit. We have done all of it. We've organized events that are either low cost or no cost. And this year we can do the event with no charge for spectators, which is actually the most exciting part for me, because really having your family and your friends there without the cost being an issue is so special. And also at the end, we'll be giving a bursary to Uville Center in Ottawa, which supports young moms going back to school. And so we'll be creating an honorary in Women's Community Bodybuilding name. And that's very special to us as well. And that's that uniqueness that can happen when you're a nonprofit. And we are always recruiting people, always recruiting board members, volunteers, folks who have skills, who want to get involved. And of course, new athletes who want to set a goal and honestly change their lives. I know sometimes I can be dramatic about it, but having that background as a therapist, I really do see what competing does for people. And so it's so special.
So,
it's really special.
Talk about your background as a psychotherapist. How do you, because we'd say it's a physical transformation, but really it's a mental transformation. And sometimes the reason why somebody, even though they're ready to compete, but their mental is not there yet, and maybe doing competition is not the best idea. So tell me, like, how does your background comes to helping hand in terms of your federation and what you're trying to accomplish?
Right. And I think I'd like to just touch on your point about, maybe mentally they're not ready or it's not a good idea. I think that doesn't necessarily apply to this federation, because we are not looking for the extremes, right? People have come in and done a show essentially without doing a peak week. It's okay, right? Because that might not be attainable for everybody. We all know that, the amount of work and that goes into competing. And if you don't want to do that, it doesn't suit you physically, it may not work for you. It's okay not to do that. So it's sort of, I like to call it like it's a lighter version of competing, right? And again, you get to set your goals on what you want to do. So it shouldn't be a lot of mental stress. And the idea is that we try to keep it as positive as we can, right? Through having that build up ahead of time with, creating relationships, safe foundations, right? Education. That's what's going to help somebody meet their goal. And, being able to also see the other side of it as a therapist, that sports psychology piece is key. And I really encourage people to reach out for support. Sports psychology really can help you move to the next level within your chosen sport. It's actually this untapped industry, I think, that athletes don't always use because, as athletes, we're hard on ourselves.
Right. And you guys offer that as part of the community? Like that
so
support?
We do have post-show. So after the shows, we do have mental health check-ins. So everybody who's competed gets together on Zoom and we have a meeting and we talk about how are people doing, because we know, when you lead up to a goal and then you meet it, and then after what?
Right? The post-show blues.
Yes. So we do absolutely speak about that and talk about that. But we actually do something about it.
I love the fact that you're connecting women with a common goal and being supportive, because even though I'm doing prep, like I have a little chat buddy, shout out to my little prep chat buddy. And then we communicate, we text. And I think that camaraderie between women in this sport is crucial. Although it's your own journey, but we need this community. And I think that's amazing what you're doing. So where can we find more information about your organization?
Okay, Geneviève, do you want to tell them about our Instagram and our website?
Oh my goodness. So yeah, so we do have, there's so many platforms that we're on. We're on Instagram, Facebook, what else?
It's Women's Community of Bodybuilding for everying.
The same name all across,
yes,
WCBB.
Exactly. We do, and we've done a couple of live I'm having like baby brain. I don't know.
So okay,
I wanted to let everyone know I just had a newborn. So
congratulations.
My brain is like trying to work overtime.
We have had so many WCBB babies in 3 years. It's
what's happening? They're looking so great, eh?
Yeah. And then we have all these women having babies. I love it. And I love seeing the babies rock our little onesies with our name on it. They're so sweet. But
yes, I've seen that. Who came up with that idea?
Yeah. Yes, Christine. But I wanted to chime back in, like just going back a little to, I want women to understand that, you know, the difference between, like Christine was saying, the difference between this federation and the other ones is that it can be a stepping stone for you. You don't have to look like what you see in the bodybuilding world. You don't. So going back to the whole mental component of it, you don't have to, this could be like a stepping stone or a halfway point, but it's to encourage you to be mentally, physically healthier than what you were before. And that another thing is that when we have those talks after the show, I find a lot of things in women's lives, you know, including giving birth, is that we talk about the highlights of leading up to something, and then you get there, but then we don't talk about post anything. Yeah. And I find that very, very important, you know, postpartum, post show, post recovery, anything, right?
Right.
So that's what we're trying to instill in this. That's how we're so different from the other federations, because had I not gone through that experience with Christine and like my first show, I wouldn't have known that there was that crash afterwards of like, what to expect, you know? And you know, people that you're not connected to can sort of give you an idea, but when you're with somebody in a show, you've connected with them on this level, you know, you've seen them on the stage with you, you're pushing them, you're encouraging them, because we're there to encourage as well. We're not there like, it's not about competing against one another. It's like lifting each other up.
Each other.
You know, connecting, relating. You can relate so much better, you know?
And that's true.
Yeah. So,
and everybody has these friendships now. That is so heartwarming for me to see, is the connections that have been made, even the connections, I mean, Geneviève and I, you know, how our relationship started and how it's evolved. And it's been really lovely. The only downside is it kind of ruined competing for me, because I know the amount of feelings and the amount of love that I feel at a Women's Community of Bodybuilding show. Yeah, I can't touch that in my own goals anymore. They no longer meet that emotional need for me. So, you know, and I noticed that in my subsequent shows as I went on, and I thought, oh, no, I love seeing women's success more than anything. And I think a lot of us relate to that who are involved in it, which is why we sort of attract the same, like you said, France, that light, right? When you have that light and it is contagious, that positivity. And we have so many lovely stories of hearing women's stories on stage. And I can tell you, there's not a dry eye in that.
Tell us one story that really, like, the one that had like the most impact on. I know there's so many, but like, can you share one story of the women that been on the show?
We talked about this, and I'm going to share a story that I've shared many, many times, and it's more of an evolution. And it's actually one of our current board members, and she had given me permission many times to share her story. And actually, So Gabby competed. She has also written an article with me for the CBC and interviewed with me. And then she also came to the Ottawa Women's Show when they asked me to speak and spoke about her story. And Gabby's story was really very common for a lot of us as a busy mom and a nurse, ER nurse, struggled with her weight, burnt out, tired, up and down. And she'll say, I was a chronic yo-yo dieter, right? And, I think a lot of women can relate to that, focusing on the number, focusing on being lean. And then she said she stumbled across women's community of bodybuilding and thought, this is this catalyst I need to move forward in my journey. And in the end, when she stood on stage, she had lost 120 pounds. Right. And I had said that to her, Gabby, you lost me. You lost this entire person. And one of the things that really stands out to me is that Gabby is an athlete. Like, she is an athlete. Her physical transformation has been amazing, and it has been nothing but solid hard work. And I watched our judges, because our judges are women, right? Which makes us very unique. Everything to do with the show is women. And for a lot of folks, that helps the feeling safe, right? Feeling comfortable, people, if they identify as a woman, they're part of our organization. And our judging looks at specific things around muscularity. We are not necessarily taking into consideration some of the other things that might be there when you have 120 pounds of weight loss, right?
Right.
And Gabby was really, really successful in our show. And I remember putting the medal around her neck. And at this point, we had done a couple of interviews together. And, she was a great promoter of the show and she loved it. And I remember putting the medal around her neck. And even when I think about it, it gets me like a bit teary. And we had this moment of locking eyes. And I said, you did it. And she, I just saw this light come about her. And this light has carried on with her, with everything. She's gone on to do other shows. Yeah. Because you know what? Turns out she's a tremendous athlete, right? That was just ready to come forward in her life. And seen her take huge jumps in her career and go back to school. And, she's doing her master's of nursing. And now she sits on our board of director. And I see the impact that she's made on her daughters and the positive body image and health. And I admire these women so much, right? And so I can see it, I flip between my hats all the time, right? So I'm, sometimes I'm just, Christine, another woman, sometimes I'm the therapist, and sometimes I'm the event planner. So, nothing like Jeanne, but messy, hot mess event planner. And I just have so much respect for these women. And I just want this for everybody.
Wow. And that's an amazing story. Thank you for sharing that. And you see, so basically it could be anywhere, because right now when you're talking, I'm thinking about some people that maybe the traditional route of bodybuilding would not be good for them, but they had it on the bucket list, but maybe because they were shy, maybe a woman only group would have been a good. So I'm thinking already of some people that would love to have and to learn more. So again, WCBB on Instagram, on Facebook, you have your own website, which is womenscommunitybodybuilding.com, right?
That's right. And it's our full name.
Yes.
Sorry?
Full name. Okay,
full name. Women's Community of Bodybuilding for Insta, Women's Community of Bodybuilding for Facebook. It's a long one. Our email is even womenscommunityofbodybuilding@gmail.com. But we really want our name to be around. I really think there's lots of capacity to grow and kind of find our own space. We don't need to copy and replicate what's out there. No. We are very unique, and there's nobody like us, and there's nobody like you, right? And so the idea is that we're very inclusive.
Inclusive, I love that. And how can we register for the event on March 25th in Colbert?
You can register any way you want. So ideally, go ahead on our website, become a member, pick your category, register. Alternatively, DM us on Instagram. We'll talk you through it every step of the way. DM us. I have personal phone calls with every athlete who is interested in getting more information. All of us on the board of directors are extremely accessible and willing to talk and help you through navigating this process. As a volunteer run organization, it may not be as fancy of a website, and there are things that we're still learning. I've learned I can do more things that I ever thought I could do online, and So we're always happy to have a good old fashioned phone call or send us an email or message us and we'll help you through it.
Okay, awesome. So like if you had like you lost a lot of weight, transformation, or you want to push yourself a little bit, have a little challenge or tick off your bucket list, there's still time, right? We're like how many
Oh
weeks out?
gosh, how many weeks out are we? 10, 13?
And I know, yeah, I know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, we're 8 weeks out.
Oh my gosh, 8 weeks out. Okay, it's coming right over
Yeah,
around the
it,
corner.
it's okay because remembering we are not looking at putting people into we don't want people going into a major calorie deficit the week before. What we want is folks to feel comfortable, come strong, come into the show strong and happy. Even if you decide to go on and do something after, and we've seen lots of our athletes do it, what I'm proud of is I'm proud of watching our athletes who are going on to other federations, and I watch the type of athlete they are there and how professional and how kind they are. And I think if that little bit of us has touched other people out there, then we're happy. We've met our goal.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So thank you. So before we part, like anything else you want to say to the audience, to our community here?
Yeah. Do we not, Christine, are we doing our special till February 12th?
Yes. Yep.
We have a special to register.
Oh,
So
We have a sale.
yeah, it's a sale. So for those that are really, really interested and you're not sure, because we know that it's very common for athletes to wait till the last minute, to register. So we are very, very new and we want to give that opportunity to people. We're trying to keep the costs as low as possible. The fact that we're letting like audiences for free, you don't see that,
no.
right? So we want to extend the same type of idea to the athletes. So we are giving a special of, should we say the price?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's like 110.
Yeah.
Um,
Including tax.
including tax before February 12th. So,
Yeah.
which is an
Yeah.
amazing deal.
It really is. And of course, you can register for as many categories as you want. And the idea is that if, we talk a lot about, inequities that are out there with athletes.
Mhm.
And the thing I really want to solidify as, as yourself, as a woman, if we want to move towards those equities, we need to make the steps to move towards those. How we do that is by, if you're going to compete, support your nonprofit by, holding that space, right? So that we can plan for it. Again, we're all volunteers. We all have careers outside of this. And we'd like these events to be the best that they can, especially as we're just getting started and this is our first event leaving Ottawa. So this sale will go right on until February 12th, which is the day of our posing session, which is happening here in Canada at Power.
In Canada? Okay, so there's a posing session in Canada. Okay.
Yeah, we've been very fortunate to pair with a phenomenal community gym that warms my heart every single day that I go there, which is Power Muscle Fitness. And they have been so supportive and they're hosting us for the posing. So it's free for anybody who is a member of Women's Community of Bodybuilding, so who holds a valid membership, or you can just purchase a day pass at Power Muscle Fitness. You can pose and you can stay and train with us. And every Friday night we're there training.
Oh, every Friday night. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like
it's
a community.
It is amazing. I cannot tell you how nice it is to go in and see a lot of other women who are there to lift weights.
Okay,
We're all
that's
there in the back.
In Ottawa. In Ottawa. Okay.
That's
if you're in the
right.
area. Oh yeah. Or if you're out of town, come in and drive
Come in.
Yeah, come and meet the crew. The group.
Yeah, message us on Instagram if you want more information. And that sale will go right till February 12th.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christine. Merci beaucoup, Geneviève. It was really great knowing more about the women's community bodybuilding. Now I feel like I know what you're about. And if I see some people, even like I was talking to some of my coach and she has some potential athletes that may not be ready like for a real competition, but that would be a great transition for them. So I can think of so many people that would benefit from your organization. So thank you so much for doing this, for empowering women. And so I thank you, and also for coming and sharing your organization, your story. And thank you for coming.